is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. So, Mr. Cooper, can I make that motion as the executive committee since I'm on it?
Yes, Vice Mayor, you can.
I actually have the ability to make a motion, so I move that. Do I have a second? Courtney has seconded it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Sounds like everybody was okay with that. John, you okay with that? Mr. Cooper?
Yes, technically we're supposed to do a roll call vote.
I figured you were going to say that.
Sorry.
All right. Do you have the list of executive committee members where you can call the roll?
I don't have the list. I can see who's joined the call.
Okay.
That way.
Do you want to just do it that way?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Mendez?
Yes.
Johnston?
Aye.
O'Connell? Syracuse?
Aye.
Gamble?
Aye.
Rutherford?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Van Reest?
Aye.
Nash?
Aye.
Sepulveda?
Aye.
Truffle?
Aye.
Cash?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
And it is Councilman Parker.
Yes, Councilman Parker is not on the executive committee.
Okay, I see his name on there.
I know we have some folks on, I think.
Okay, got it.
All right.
And I assume Vice Mayor votes aye.
I vote aye.
All right, good to go.
All right, thank you. All right, so as I was saying, as we started, we have a number of things on the agenda today. Thank you for doing this on a Friday afternoon. We looked at Wednesday, it was Veterans Day. We looked at yesterday, Planning Commission was meeting, so you got today. And there were some things on here that we simply needed to cover, so we went ahead and scheduled the meeting. Two things real quick that weren't on the agenda. These are just announcements. Next meeting is at the Music City Center. That's next Tuesday. I will tell you that we've had some requests from council members that are trying to figure out whether we could come up with some type of hybrid meeting, where some people could come and some people could stay at home. At this point, based upon information that Mr. Cooper was trying to get from IT, they don't have the technology in place to do that quite yet. It sounds, John, like they're going to work on it and see what they can come up with, but at this point, they simply cannot do that.
Right, I think it was both technology and just resources of having to be able to staff both.
Okay, so anyway, they're working on it, so just be aware. At this point, as you know, we are scheduled to stay in the Music City Center until the end of December. So, we're going to continue to work through this the best we can, but fortunately, we're good through the end of December, and then we'll figure out where we go. We're starting to think through that. The other thing, just real quick, and I talked to Rosie about this, National League of Cities, the City Summit, which some of you have been to, starts next week. It is being done virtually. We have no money in the budget to pay for anybody to attend, but I think you can register online. I think the cost is $250. I checked in with National League of Cities this morning. You can still register if you want to go. I think it's the 18th, 19th, and 20th. All done virtually, as everything else is being done. So if you're interested, you can still register for that. All right. All right. Any questions about those two things?
Vice Mayor?
Yeah. Member Van Reest?
Yes, I wanted to let you guys know because the funding was unavailable, I had to relinquish my seat on the LGBTQ liaison board at National League of Cities because if I can't be there, I can't serve on that board. So it's unfortunate, and hopefully we can figure this out next year. But I was serving on that board. I don't know if there's others on the Metro Council, on other constituency groups that were unable to attend and therefore also had to relinquish seats or not. But I think it's an issue that you guys needed to know that had happened.
All right. Let's talk about that, because I certainly don't want you to. I want you to stay involved in that. I think that's important.
It's too late. They already voted somebody else to replace me, but that's okay.
All right. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do to fix that. Okay, let's go on to the agenda. We added, there were 4 things on it. Let's start with the issue of the day, which is the quorum of the council. So I put it on there basically as I was getting ready for the executive committee meeting. If you're watching, this will be the 3rd effort that I've taken to try to address the decorum of the body. If you remember, first I had made some phone calls to members, just talk about decorum, trying to deal with that. Then I had sent a letter out to members at some point talking about professionalism in the chamber. So here we are again. It has been an issue for almost a year, and we're now on the 3rd kind of review of it to try to figure out what to do. So based upon the reactions from people both inside and outside the chamber, it seems to be, again, impacting the ability of this body to govern effectively. So it's our chamber, it's our council. We were all elected to lead and govern this city. So my questions to people on the executive committee and basically to the council is, how do you all want to lead and govern? What is our tolerance level for some of this stuff that's going on? And what really allows this council to be the most effective in terms of how it functions? So this past week, did some research. I reached out for help to the folks at the National League of Cities. And I had discussed this issue before with other council presidents to figure out how they're dealing with it. This is not one of those things that is just happening with us. This is happening across the country. So the best advice that I was given, and the one that I'm actually advancing today, is creating a small working committee of both current and former council members to see if they can come up with a recommendation for review and ultimately approval by this body concerning decorum in the chamber. This group will be designed to solicit your input, to do research, and to study other cities that have passed codes of conduct and civility statements. So if you do some research, if you just go on the internet, there are a number of cities that have passed a code of conduct and a civility statement about how they function as a body. So what I would say is, in this creation of this committee and giving them responsibility, based upon the contacts I had with these individuals, people said, well, find out what your council wants. What do they want to do? If y'all don't want a code of conduct, tell the committee. Explain why you don't think we need one. That's fine. If you want additional requirements in the chamber, everything from how we address other members to how we dress, tell this committee. That's the purpose of the committee. This is sort of everybody's opportunity to say, I've either had enough of this, or I'm okay with it, or whatever. We have one rule in our rules, the Rule 45, which talks about decorum. It talks about smoking and eating and drinking and eating snacks on the floor of the chamber. It really doesn't get into this, what some of us have been talking about, and that is this ultimate decorum. So pursuant to Rule 5, I'm creating a special committee to look at these issues. Everything, again, from conduct, code of conduct, talking about a civility statement. And I would also add that this group could look at ethics and ethics training for the council, if we want to do that. I'm asking them to come in with a whole set of recommendations for people to look at. We'll bring it to the executive committee and then bring it to the floor and let people talk about it. I have asked Berkeley Allen to chair the committee, and she has agreed to do that. And I have named, I actually got in touch with the 4 other people that I was going to name, and they all agreed to do it. They understand, I think, the importance of what this is. So I've got Councilmember Johnston is going to serve. She's chairman of the Rules Committee. I've asked Brett Withers to serve. I've asked Danica Bircher to serve. And I've asked Larry Hager to serve, and they've all agreed to do it. So that's the 5 committee members. And Berkeley is going to call together the group and solicit input. The people I talked to were very interested and said, you reach out, do surveys, and find out what people would really like to see. So anyway, that's what I plan to do. I'm going to reach out to some former council members, and I'll add them to the group, and then this group will put together fairly quickly kind of a plan. But it will be your plan. Again, the folks I talked to said, look, you know, you run the meetings, but you let the body determine what the rules are. How do they want to proceed? How do they want to act? What do they want to do? So it'll be up to you all to kind of figure out what code of conduct, if any, you want to abide by. So anyway, pursuant to Rule 5, I'm naming that committee. We'll add some other folks, and we'll go from there. So any questions about that? I had set aside some time to obviously talk about the quorum. We could talk about it for a long time today, but I think the better strategy is to send it to this special committee, let them work through it with all of you, figure out what you all want, and then bring it back. And then we'll figure out where we go. So opening up for any discussions, anybody want to talk about it? And I can't see anybody's hand, so just speak up if you don't mind. Councilmember Cash?
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I don't disagree with anything you've said. I think that moving forward, that's a good plan to come up with, have a committee to come up with some guidelines. I'll tell you, when I was a teacher in a classroom, if I had an unruly classroom or a misbehaving classroom, and I kind of preached at the whole class for misbehaving, a lot of them were sitting there thinking, well, he's not talking about me. So I guess I just want to make the point that when we have discord that shows itself in, outward ways, I think it's important to address that and do it in a way that, if there are tensions that are simmering over, working on helping alleviate those tensions. I'm not saying that I think there should be a code, that's fine. And, if the code has consequences, I think that's okay. But also, social emotional learning is a thing. And so kind of thinking about what's going on with people and having honest conversations with them about what they're feeling and why they're upset, I think is a smart way a smart thing to include in thinking about cohesiveness. And
all right. Thank you. So I now can see some hands. So Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized. And then I'll get to you, Freddie, after that. Bob? Can you all hear Councilmember Mendez? No.
I can't. No.
Councilmember Mendez, we still can't hear you. All right. While you're working on that, Councilmember O'Connell, and then I'll come back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Now you're frozen.
I'm speaking as somebody who is, let me see, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, good. Speaking as somebody who's in his second term, speaking as somebody who is an elected committee chair, who had chaired a committee last term, and thinking about, obviously we've had, a new class of council, probably some new priorities for the city, but I think also set against a backdrop of a city that, is dealing with a local response to a global pandemic, is dealing with, what many would consider to be threats to fundamental small d democratic institutions in America, and in a city that has experienced a pretty profound breach of trust with the collapse of a mayoral administration. I'm speaking only for myself here, but I don't find sending multiple council members into a process to explore decorum really serves the highest interests of what we need to be doing. I mean, we've got families in crisis across the city. We've got extraordinary priorities that we need to tackle if we're to have any hope of being able to govern. And I will tell you this, I have not heard a single one of my constituents who is concerned about our decorum. There are other trust issues at play, but I don't think they're fundamentally related to language that a council member is using. There are allegations of corruption right now that are open and active that multiple council members have signed letters about. And I think as we explore what is going on, the biggest thing we can do is fix our finances, work on things that are of importance to Nashvillians and less on things that are, resolutions of intent and those kinds of things. Right now, we need policy, we need trust building, and we need many things that are oriented toward public health and safety. And I think it's reasonable for people to disagree about those things and for passions to run high, because I think that's actually expressive of how people are feeling in the community.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. I've got Councilmember Druffel.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just curious, through all these years at Metro, has this ever happened before where there's decorum issues? I'm just curious what might have happened in the past and how that was handled. And I agree with the direction, by the way. Councilman O'Connell's got some good points, but I still agree that if we got to handle ourselves with the best respect. Thank you, sir.
Well, so Councilmember, I think that may be something that comes up at the committee meeting to talk about what's happened in the past. I, for one, have never really seen anything quite like some of this stuff. It's never really been an issue. But I think that's a matter better reserved for discussion at the committee. And with all due respect to Councilmember O'Connell, it may be that, express that to the committee and say that you don't want to do it. It doesn't mean that we're not focusing on other issues. Just express to the council, the committee, that you think they should, we got other things to do. I'll go to Councilmember Mendez, and you're recognized.
All right, can you hear me this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got.
All right, great. Isn't there, Jim, an example of some council member punching another council member in the face at some point in terms past?
Maybe. I wasn't on the council when that happened.
So, Councilman Druffel, there have been, I guess that would qualify as a decorum issue when that happened. And maybe we'll have to write a rule that says don't punch people in the face. So my sentiment generally is, in my professional life, one of the things I've been doing since March is helping for-profit and nonprofit entities with all sorts of stress related to COVID, including when governance issues, when things are flaring, because we're in unprecedented times. And my general advice to others has been to not engage in extraordinary rulemaking to deal with extraordinary events during extraordinary times. There's a certain amount of these times will pass. I mean, it's been the entire term, it feels like, but when we get a year from now, hopefully we're on the backside of this, and hopefully the national financial problems and the city's financial problems have all abated. And I guess I'm echoing Councilman O'Connell of I hate to see so many people spin up a bunch of effort to make rules that will last forever to deal with what they perceive to be extraordinary events during extraordinary times. And so I think it's I think it's not necessary, but and I just wanted to share that. Thanks, Vice Mayor.
All right, thanks, Council Member. So, Council Member Henderson, I'm going to recognize you. I know you're not on the executive committee, but why don't I go to you last, because we've got, after this, we'll go on to the next items. And then I will tell you all, this committee is open to all of you to say what you want, okay? It's this body, so you all can say what you want. Council Member Henderson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate you recognizing me, even though I'm not serving on this committee at this time. But to Councilman O'Connell's point, as a returning council member, a two-time committee chair, I did want to express that I think we are creating too many committees. And respectfully, we're also speaking in euphemisms. What specifically is the problem? A council member used profanity. A council member replied all and inferred things about a certain member. And we're speaking in generalities and euphemisms. I would appreciate your leadership in just simply saying, council members, don't use profanity, please. You know, council members, address the chair, address the vice mayor. I think we just need some very simple, practical guidance, and we need to respond to things in real time when they happen and they're inappropriate. We are all grown-ups here. We all know what good manners are. These are, to Councilman Mendez's point, unprecedented times. So I don't agree respectfully with creating another committee to talk about this. I just think we very specifically need to say what has happened that was inappropriate, and let's acknowledge that it was inappropriate and not do it again. I mean, let's just keep it simple, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. So anyway, the committee has been formed, and whatever discussions you all want to have with the committee, you're certainly welcome to do that. All right, so moving on to the next agenda, committee schedules. So this is something we've talked about at some point. There is, and I've talked to Mr. Cooper about it, and this is something that I'll eventually have to probably work through. Well, it may not necessarily have to work through rules. It just has to work through trying to get everybody on the right schedule. And I guess with rules about when things have to be filed. We have had long discussions about trying to move our committees to get them on a schedule where some of them would actually meet the week before. I don't think they can meet on the Tuesday before because that's the filing deadline. And then the Wednesday, we're trying to figure out if we could actually move the calendar back so we can make sure we have proper public notice. But the question to you all as members of the executive committee is, and for the returning members, they know they've seen it as well. We stumble over our committees, as you know. If you're going to take any time to actually spend time working on a particular issue, you almost have to call a special committee. And the idea would be, what do you all think if we were to, if it may take a little while to do it, but to push forth the effort to actually move some of the committees back from the Tuesday to possibly the Thursday before, if we can work it out. May not be possible with the notice requirements, but the idea is giving those committees like public safety and public works and all those things that are typically jammed up on Tuesday, a set time to meet where you actually have time to go through the bills, you actually have time to think through amendments, and you have time to bring in the departments and actually have a basic conversation with them. Just wanted to see what you think about that, and I'll take comments. Councilmember O'Connell, I see your hand up. You're recognized. Can you hear me?
I can, sorry.
Okay.
It's slow to unmute. I guess I would say up front, I personally disagree with the no special committees are the only way to get work done. We specifically did work in the Public Works Committee last term to modify the committee agenda. We've carried that forward to the Traffic, Parking and Transportation Committee this term to allow for a chair's report, a staff report, recognition of guests, the way that committees should function to allow for testimony to occur. It's possible to do that. We may need to adjust schedules to accommodate that, but this is also why when we started this term, I pressed for revising and overhauling the standing committee. I still think that should be a priority for this executive committee, and that we don't exit this term without giving some serious attention to kind of a renovation of our standing committee structure.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate that. Councilmember Cash, you recognize.
Thanks. I agree that some of the time the committees, when we meet on like Monday and Tuesday, especially on Tuesday, like we don't have much time. I know I usually only have like 3 bills on codes, but we still go over a little bit. I don't know that what you're proposing about moving some to the week, end of the week prior, that we have to do that with every meeting. But I would suggest considering doing that once a month, and like once a month we have more of an extended time to have a guest or give a more extended committee report, and then another week, like the 3rd week meeting, we can move through it more quickly. But I'd like at least once a month to have a little more time and not feel like I have to really rush through and not share things other than going through the bills. I also agree with what Councilman O'Connell said, in that we've got some plans, I know, on the burner about, making some improvements in council and rethinking some things. And I think that's a good thing to move forward with some specific goals and kind of deadlines and stuff like that coming out of brainstorming and work. Might be a positive substitute for what you're talking about when it comes to, that maybe there's like some things that we're not proud of, or that some things that we're not looked at as the best we can be. And so maybe having some other things that we can be proud of and shine a light on will improve our standing.
Okay.
Thanks.
I love the idea that once a month, Councilmember Cash, I will tell you that this is the council committee structure has been like this, I think, ever since I was on it. And so you run over each other trying to get to different committees to get your bills done, but you never really have a lot of time to actually get this stuff heard. So anyway, I'll take that into consideration. This is just kind of throwing it out to see what people think. Councilmember Druffel, you're recognized.
Yeah. I'm in favor of having at least a monthly meeting. In education, if you've been on that committee, you know that there's some minimal legislation that comes along, and yet when our understanding of general policy for education through the school board is really at a minimum, not on purpose. It's just there's a lot there. And we've actually already started, we'll have our first joint meeting with the school board and the mayor's office on December 3rd at the school board's location with the education committee. I just feel like there's an opportunity to be more proactive, whether to discover policy and programs that we can support when needed, at least within education. I think everybody's the same. But, the other day, I got a chance to sit on Councilman Nash on license plate readers. That was fantastic. I mean, I learned a lot. I know there was a lot of information, but those kind of committee meetings to me are much more valuable than trying to get something done in 15 to 20 minutes when we have important ideas in legislation. So I'm a big fan of trying to identify at least a monthly type of meeting, and I plan on trying to do that within education. So I'm in favor of coming up with a better system to expand our committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you. One of the things that I learned in my first term, and I think this advice may have come from Berkeley Allen, was that you either need to you kind of have to pick your weeks, and it's kind of like choosing boundaries and time management, and having community meetings, having neighborhood association meetings that we all go to. If we are expanding council meetings, like the council body meeting, onto another week, that is going to really, I think, push a lot of us when we have a lot of other obligations. I know I have 5 active neighborhood associations that meet each month, and then on top of that, community meetings that I need to schedule. And so what I think would be more effective is if we use that Monday before the Tuesday council meeting. There is no reason why. I know that last term we bumped planning onto Tuesdays because budget frequently ran over. But if we learn time management, if our chairs learn time management of their committees, we should utilize that Monday and really dedicate that Monday and Tuesday to council committees and meeting time. There is no reason why we can't do that and give our committees some more time. And Jim, as you know, at the legislature, if you don't get to a bill, it gets rolled to the next calendar. And, sometimes that just needs to happen. Sometimes, if you can't get to something, that doesn't mean that you stop having meaningful conversation about something else. Deferring and rolling things to another agenda should not be seen as a punitive or a negative, aggressive thing that so often it has become, when really, if something needs more work, then you need to take the time to do it. And so that means that our committee chairs, us as the executive committee, need to manage our committees better. And really, we should be using more of that Monday time. It's ridiculous to just have 1 or 2 committees meet on Monday and then jam everybody in on Tuesday. We don't need to expand weeks. We need to use the time that we have more wisely. More wisely is not the right word. Sorry, I'm moving in and I'm exhausted.
Okay.
But I think I made my point.
Hey, Councilman Murphy, before you finish moving in, would you get back on for just a second? There she is. Okay. When you have a minute, when you're not moving in, would you mind kind of putting together some notes about maybe how you think that might work? So part of this is just to open up the discussion. And I understand about that was the concern. That's why you bring it up to talk about on Thursdays. The other thing, as Councilmember Murphy would know, is that in the legislature, they amend bills in the committee. And because of the way our structure is, if you're going to amend a bill, nobody has time to draft it before it shows up on the floor an hour later. So that's part of it, Councilmember Murphy, is there's some way that if your committee really wants to put forth an effort to amend, is there any time to get that done? And I just, I don't know how that works. You may just have to do what you said, and that is push it to the next meeting. Just an idea, but if you can send us something, that would be good. Councilmember Johnston, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that I did call a special Rules Committee meeting for next Thursday that I hope that everyone will attend. And several people have reached out with ideas that they have for our committee structure and possibly combining some committees, moving days, times, what the committee has the power to do, just strengthening the entire structure and making it more efficient and effective. And so I wanted to remind everyone that to please write those, like you're asking Council Lady Murphy to do, is please write those things down and get them to me so that we can have a really productive meeting on Thursday to really dig into this, because I do think a lot of us get frustrated when we only have 15 minutes, and sometimes that 15 minutes is perfectly fine because there's one or two bills that are very simple and straightforward, and then other times, we do look at some really complex legislation that it affects countywide. I think we'll always have to have special called meetings like we did for the LPR and we did for public safety a couple times previously in this term. I don't think that's ever going to go away, especially when you have really complex, like I'm saying, complex matters that we're discussing. But I do think that we can do a better job just in the organization of how we operate from a committee standpoint. So please, I know that there's been several colleagues that in years past have worked on this and have come up with several different ideas. And so a lot of work has already been done. And so I'm really looking forward to sort of combining all of those ideas and coming up with the best way to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Suara, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to chime in that I'm in support of stretching it out. I actually like the idea of maybe even once a month. Some of our committees is not just us. Some of our committees have to get information from the public. Affordable housing is one that works with so many other committees or structures outside of the council. And when we tried to do a special committee, it was a problem because, as we always reminded, this is a part-time work. People have other jobs. And so having to meet extra after Monday, Tuesday did not work for my committee. It took a long time for us to be able to find a consensus on a time that works for everyone. So making it a standard where it's actually spread out, I'm okay with a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, if that's what it takes. I think that's better. The idea of spending all Monday and all Tuesday may work for some, but it may not work for some of us. It's a lot easier for me on my job to be able to leave at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and take the rest of the day. But if I have to leave at 10 a.m., then I'm going to have to take an annual day off of my job, and I cannot do that 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, it's not feasible for some of us. And so I think any way that we can do it where we spread it out, but we also give ourselves enough time. 15 minutes is not enough. I agree. We need to be talking more and looking at this stuff. So my recommendation, or what I agree with, is the idea of the Thursday before. Doesn't have to be every 2 weeks, maybe once a week, once a month. I think that will give us some more time. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Nash, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must admit, I'm not sure I can say anything that hasn't already been said to some degree. I find you almost have to go in depth and look at these things on first reading, because you got to put an amendment on that bill for second reading, but yet you really haven't had a chance to discuss that bill in committee to work out some of those issues. So you end up having to ask a lot of times for, beg somebody to defer so that you can talk about it some more. And as Council Lady Murphy has mentioned, sometimes that's taken as being offensive, being unfriendly, when in fact it's not. 90% of the stuff that goes through Public Works, we're trading out fire hydrants, no issue. But occasionally there's things that come up that really need that 2-hour discussion that we just can't do on a Tuesday. So if we can kind of find a way, when we come across those pieces of legislation that really need more discussion, find some way to extend that, make that ability easier maybe, or more congenial somehow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got Councilmember Parker, you're recognized. You there? I mean, his hand went off. There he is. Councilmember Parker? All right, well, we're waiting for him. Councilmember Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for recognizing me. Even though I'm not on the executive committee, I will make my comments very brief. I was in the I was an attendee earlier, so I was not able to comment earlier. But I just wanted to first say that I second the thoughts and ideas of Council members O'Connell, Henderson, and Mendez with regards to decorum. So I just wanted to start off with that. Secondly, with regards to this conversation, I do agree with Council Member Murphy. I think that if we could have better time management with our Monday, Tuesday meetings, and allowing more of our meetings to happen on the Monday before, that would give us the opportunity to continue to work through legislation and support our districts during the off week that we are not meeting. So I would just ask that our colleagues just consider that. And then one additional question, Vice Mayor, is do we have to meet for items that are does everything have to go before committee? So the example that Councilman Nash just gave, if it's something simple like a fire hydrant or a simple easement, like do those things actually have to go to committee, or can we allocate that time to discuss more meaningful legislation that will have a bigger impact on the city? So thank you for acknowledging me.
Some people think those sewer manholes are very important, Councilmember Porterfield. I believe under the rules that everything does have to go through committees. Mr. Cooper, you still on?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yeah, all legislation has to have at least one committee report to be considered by the full council.
Okay. But I understand what you're talking about, Councilmember Porterfield. I get tongue-tied when I keep trying to read those things. It gets kind of difficult. Councilmember Parker is having trouble getting on. Did you ever get on?
Vice Mayor, it looks like I'm a panelist now. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, well,
okay, you're recognized.
Thank you for recognizing me, even though I'm not a executive committee member. So I agree with a lot of what has been said by my colleagues, and I really appreciate the perspective of our second termers here. You know, one thing that I feel like it would be great to have more space in the committee structure to discuss not only pending legislation, but potential legislation, to discuss sort of ideas with our colleagues. And it just feels like under the current structure, we just have like very little time for that. Affordable housing has made time for that in some of our meetings, and it's worked really well. But I would like to say that as we consider these changes to potentially make the committee structure more effective, I think that we should take advantage of our current ability to meet virtually in whatever capacity we can. I think it lowers the bar for, you know, these special meetings and whatnot. It makes it easier for members to attend. I think it makes it less of a burden on staff to facilitate. And it might be that, you know, having these working meetings and whatnot to discuss potential legislation with colleagues that are publicly noticed and that end up on the MetroGov YouTube channel would be a really useful way for us to be able to work through some things like that as staff is able to facilitate and has the resources to facilitate. But I just wanted to bring that up. We have this sort of really great tool, this ability to meet virtually right now, and I think it would be a shame if we didn't sort of use it to the most of our ability while we have it. And we may have it moving forward. We'll see how things work. But anyway, that's all I wanted to chime in with. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right. No, thank you. That's good points. I appreciate that. Councilmember Gamble, you are a member of the executive committee. I just saw your hand pop up, and then we're going to go to Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Vice.
And then we'll move on to the next topic. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I just also want to, I appreciate all the comments made regarding the committee structure. I tend to agree with the idea of better time management for Monday and Tuesday meetings, maybe adding more committee meetings on Monday. I also believe that having a standing meeting on Thursday would interrupt or would interfere with our district meetings and trying to prepare for legislation, things that we're doing for our districts and on our own, as opposed to do what we're doing for the county-wide. So it seems that the special meeting idea works well. If there's a need to have a special meeting for a particular legislative item for extended discussion, that seems to work well. And I definitely support that and intend to do that with public safety. But having a standing extended meeting once a month, I'm not sure that would be conducive to other work that we need to do. So I just want to comment on that. I definitely agree that we need more, better time management with the committees, using Monday and Tuesday. And if there's a need to have a special meeting, then the chair of that committee should take the initiative to set that up. So just want to say that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson, you're the last person in the queue on this one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I agree and appreciate what all my colleagues are saying. I think because Monday and Tuesday have already been kind of consistently established and we have that pattern, we saw earlier in the pandemic, we were just kind of amplifying Monday and Tuesday. So I was having Public Works Committee on Monday. The time varied sometimes, which might have been confusing for colleagues, but that really was based on, when I, as a committee chair, saw the filings, like the administrative filings, saw what was coming up on the agenda, I could pretty well ascertain, not always, what was going to take more discussion. Right. And so to Councilman Nash's point, we would put, sewer manholes and all that would be on a consent agenda. So we would have resolutions for consent, resolutions for discussion, ordinances on consent and ordinances for discussion. And, sometimes I was after colleagues on budget and finance, and that would run really long. And, our meeting we'd have guests, and so we'd have to start later, and that was problematic. So I then moved to the front of budget and finance. I saw that as a hard stop. Like, they've got to start their committee when they need to start their committee because they have guests as well. So I would, along with Council Lady Murphy and Council Lady Gamble, and I think many others, suggest, if Monday's established, and to Council Lady Suarez's point, with other work, leaving early versus starting a whole nother day, maybe it's Monday, we start at 3 on Monday, and then on Tuesday we pull it to 3 or 3:30, or, just kind of give a little bit more time. And then also, work with the clerk and the committee chairs. What does your agenda look like this week? Do you need a half hour? Do you need 15? Kind of what do you need? And then us just being mindful that within a certain zone, our start times are going to shift a little bit, so we all have ample time to discuss the legislation. And to Councilman Nash's, he held a great meeting on the LPRs the other day, and it was over 2 hours, but it was all good information. So you're always going to have those specially called, but I would encourage us just to optimize our typical Monday, Tuesday pattern with how we run our meetings and we organize our schedule. And I think that will get us what we need. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So good discussion. I'll take this back and see what we can come up with, and see if we can come up with maybe a plan that kind of works for everybody. That's fine. Okay, 2 other things to talk about. We have right at 10 minutes. I think Rosie may have been in touch with you all about training. So there are certain types of training that we all have to do. The utility board training that we had that was due maybe a month or so ago. We have diversity training, and we also have sexual harassment training. And I think Rosie was going to send all that stuff out to you to make sure that everybody knows what they're supposed to do, so we get that done. The reason I put it on this agenda is that Councilmember O'Connell had spoken to me at some point, particularly about the utility board and the water stuff. And Councilmember O'Connell, I meant to reach out to you. I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit, if you can. I know at some point we're going to have to deal with that, because it was 12 hours of training. I think some people still may not have gotten all that done, but it just seems a little strange that we had to do it. And the question is, When you stopped me and asked me about it, I thought, well, I'm going to put it on here so we can at least have a discussion about it, or at least start talking about it. Councilmember O'Connell, any comments?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So on this one, my takeaway, and I know I suspect Councilmember Nash got there before a lot of us, just by virtue of timing, and many of us learned by the visit.
You're stuck again. Can you hear us?
From the comptroller. Multiple mail. Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me yet?
Oh, wait, you're still breaking up, but
all right. Let's see if this works any better. Sorry, I should try computer. Anyhow, the Councilmember Nash identified this last year. Comptroller came to visit us. A lot of us learned that the mayor's office and Metro Water between them had effectively kept critical financial information from us. But I don't think any council member has been seriously thinking about loss rate, water and billables and these things that if we were actually functioning as a utility board would be front of mind for us. We do have a public work that Metro Water staffs as department. We know that sort of an overhaul underway of both the public works and Metro Water departments. But we are not council right as a 40-member body serve something that needs to change. That was my conclusion from having completed the training, is that whether it's a special subcommittee, budget and finance and public works, or something about how we have the executive committee tackle this, we restructure how we work as a governing board, or we need to create a process that is a committee to do just this work.
Councilmember, we're still having trouble. I think the idea is, all right. So when Councilmember O'Connell and I talked about this, I think I'm trying to relay the points that he made, which are proper. We had to take a training, but the question is, what was the benefit of that? Councilmember O'Connell, I would, just because of the nature of it and the training requirements that come with everything, I would really request, if you don't mind taking a look, talk to some folks and maybe bring something back to maybe something that we could actually do that would make a lot more sense. Would you mind doing that? Okay.
I'm happy to do that. Thanks.
Okay. That was probably the main thing. I want to make sure Rosie is going to make sure everybody understands the training requirements so we get that taken care of. And then Councilmember O'Connell, if you don't mind, bring something back when you're ready about maybe something that's more realistic of what we should be trying to do. All right, so it is 4:54. I'm trying to make sure we get out of here by 5 because Councilmember Sawara will hurt me if I don't let her affordable housing meeting start on time. The last thing is, all right, so everybody may think I'm crazy, but we are 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving, or less than 2 weeks away. We're not that far away from the Christmas holidays. It has been a very difficult year, obviously, for everyone. Last year at this time, we started working on something that the council could all get together. We could actually all do at the same time. And I think it was Councilmember Stiles and maybe someone else was on that committee where we adopted a classroom for a school. Now that hasn't come out this year because I'm not sure if anybody's doing it. But the Christmas parade has been canceled. I think it'll be, I don't know if it'll be virtual or not. I don't know about the lighting of the tree. The mayor yesterday came out and told people to keep your numbers for Thanksgiving under 10 or less people. Really, really different year. From the standpoint of my day job, I worry about people being by themselves and being isolated. They don't get out and they can't travel this year, or they may not travel. There's a lot of concerns about what may happen over this period of time with our numbers going up. I guess what I wanted to bring up was whether anybody had any ideas that, particularly after a very difficult year for so many people, do you all have some ideas of what this body can do to sort of give back to the community where we could all kind of get involved together? If not, we'll work through something. I liked what everybody did last year. I thought that was a really good thing. Any ideas? We've got 4 minutes left. I just thought I wanted to reserve a little time to say, is there something that you all would like to try to do? And no caroling is required. Anybody? And I mean, I'll go check the list. So I do have some hands up. Councilmember Druffel, you recognized.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can do this as a group, but something to consider for your districts. We're going to have a holiday light contest and celebration where people can drive around and really get a chance to safely distance, but still celebrate. Included in that, we're working on a way to transportation for seniors that haven't been out of the house. We're still working on some church buses, etc. But just an idea that we've surfaced. I surfaced about a week ago, and it's getting some legs. But I think again, we're going to try to get some churches to offer hot chocolate. We drive by hot chocolate and do some things. So we're putting it all together. We're going to have it out before Thanksgiving. But I think it's one of those old-fashioned opportunities to get around in a very safe way, and then hopefully get some people out of the house. Just an idea. I don't know if we could do that more as a council, but it's just something I think. How do you celebrate the holidays in some other fashion? But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Councilmember Porterfield?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I do like that idea of doing something for the holidays. I think one thing that could keep us safe and socially distant is possibly doing holiday cards or greeting cards, as well as care packages and baskets to be delivered at some of our homes that service senior citizens in the city.
Very good idea. That's a very smart idea. Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Nash? You're next.
I'm a big fan of the Salvation Army's Christmas tree. I think 40 people are buying one of those gift cards for the Salvation Army. Might be nice.
Okay. Okay. That's a possibility as well. Councilmember Van Rees? You recognize.
Yes, thank you very much. I know we're wrapping up on time.
Yeah.
Very similar to what was mentioned, the 50 Forward Madison Station is doing a drive-through Thanksgiving where seniors can come through and actually get Thanksgiving meals, and working with the Madison Rivergate Chamber on moving the holidays to a drive-by kind of thing too, with Santa Claus and all kinds of stuff. So the lighting of the Christmas tree, all that kind of thing that might happen in different parts of our community. I encourage you to reach out to 50 Forwards if they're in your area. I think there's 5 or 6 of them, different parts of town, to maybe do similar things where you can utilize their parking lots for that. And I think that the Nashville Public Library may be willing to do something like that as well. But I think it's going to be district by district.
Okay. All right. I may be back in touch with you with some of those ideas. Okay, we got 2 more people in the queue, and then we'll close the meeting. Councilmember Cash?
Just real quick to piggyback on what Councilman Droffel said, we're in Hillsborough West End. We've been doing holiday lights tours for like 6 or 7 years. We usually have like carriages, but we're not doing that this year because of COVID, but we're still having the decorating and kind of coming up with a walking map. We have a pretty walkable neighborhood, or houses are pretty close, and we usually do contests to give different prizes to folks.
Okay, helpful. Okay, I've been through some of your stuff. Okay, last person in the queue, Councilmember Parker, you're recognized. Are you there, Councilmember
My
Parker?
apologies, Vice Mayor. That was a leftover hand. I had to switch to my phone, and I don't know how to use WebEx on here.
You don't have any Christmas ideas for us? I guess not.
Not offhand, but I'll bring them straight to you if I get any. Okay.
All right. Okay, so it is 5 o'clock. I promised I would end everybody at 5. Thank you all for the information. All of it's been helpful. I took a lot of good notes. And I know affordable housing meets right now. You all be safe over the weekend. Enjoy the weekend. be safe, and we'll see you next Monday or Tuesday. Okay. Thanks, everybody. All right. Move to adjourn. It's over. Okay. Thanks.